Okay guys, harvest day is with us. We're going to be chopping this field first. I'm a bit worried because we had some rain 2 days ago, quite heavy, about a centimetre or so. So before that the land was tacky. We've given it a bit of time to dry off, but it's still tacky a bit on the boots, so I've got a feeling we're going to be dragging mud back onto the road and not making ourselves very popular with the neighbours. But we'll get ourselves ready and try and sort it up so that we can scrape the road down and brush it, get the bowser out, wet the road, use the brushes, etc. And we'll just have to see how we go. We're pulling out onto this road, which is actually a disused road almost, and then we're onto a busy road right there. People come flying along it, so yeah, it's naturally a little bit of a blind hill there as well, so people don't realise what you're up to. So yeah, it's going to be a tough day, I think, but let's see how we get on. Okay guys, they've arrived. We're going to get ourselves sorted out and get out to the field. So we're just here in the new clamp, cutting out some of the silage, putting it along with the plastic. It's always a job that you need many hands to do. So we've got the guys from the wood yard, Rich for the farm, as well as Ray's on that machine, Kay's on this one. And we've got Johnny over there on the big shovel, going to start cutting out blocks of the maize. And there we go. There he is, just showing the power of that big machine. Just hiking out that maize. Okay, the wind is definitely playing a real havoc trying to get these seats up. So we're just trying to put down more silaging now. It's just really hard to put this plastic down while the wind is blowing. It just takes it, lifts it so quick. It's a real nuisance. The sooner we can get harvesting and filling this clamp, the better. Johnny's just piling up some barley there, cutting out. We have to have about 2 weeks supply of feed for the plant while the new maize goes off and pickles. Otherwise we won't get our gassing. We always lose a bit of a gas on this changeover period when you get the new stuff in. But yeah, and then Ray will go and pick that up and put it in the other clamp in the corner there, so we can keep the production of gas going. I've got some plastic in the back now. I'm just going to try and put some on the drain so it doesn't block the drain up, which runs on the concrete on the other clamp, and drains into the lagoon behind us, so we don't get any contamination of water. I'll just do that now. Okay guys, we're just whizzing out now to go and see the first field. See how the cut's coming in, what the dry mass is like. Okay, in we go. Okay guys, so what I'm really worried about is how much mud we're going to pick up on these tyres and put onto these roads. So I'm just going to go and have a little look and see what's coming out. To be fair, you probably can't see it, but the tyres actually aren't picking up too much, so we may be we may be okay. Yeah, that's looking much more positive. I think we might get away with this and not cause too much disruption to people, which is good, because it's a busy road and people come flying along on motorbikes and stuff at 60 or even more, and it's all a bit terrifying really, so that's good. First train has been full. Looks like it's yielding all right. If you can see that, but it's a big pile of kind of block up that he seems to be having. I don't know whether that's because it's a bit juicy, but it looks quite dry down there. So yeah, anyway, there we go. Round the corner. Okay, so I'm just following the first trailer back to the yard. Unfortunately, the tyres are pretty mucky, so we're going to have to come back with our bucket, brush, and see what we can do. So let's see how it comes out when we're on the road itself. It's going a fair pace and chucking some of the mud off now. So yeah, we've got the busy road behind us, guys, and you can just see I've asked him to run up this road, clean off his tyres here, and we can brush this off in safety. That's the busy road this way, and we can just deal with that when we've all finished, and that'll be all right, I think. So that will work well, just swiping off there. Just having a bit of a nightmare with this wind, pulling all this silage sheeting off. So Johnny's just taking these big lumps of material and mounting them up against the wall as fast as he can. I'm just up on the heap, guys. Giving it a squeeze. It doesn't feel too bad here. It's quite a good, nice, short chop length, which is good for the bugs in the digester. they can really get hold of it, get the maximum of gas out of it. We're just going to have to ram it high because we've not got, again, we're always a bit short on storage space. It's not too wet either, which is what I was worried about. His wheels aren't wet, so that's a little bit of a telltale sign, which is good. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Okay, so we've just finished the first field. We've got Dave out on the brush here. Ray's had the steel bucket. We tend to find that the brush is all right, but the steel bucket really lifts it. I tend to find that steel bucket does quite a good job, but in this case, it seems just to be taking up a bit of the white lines. So I think that's pretty good for the road. Not too bad. Keeps everybody happy. My brother's taking the signs pretty seriously. We've got 2 there, got all these cones, and a load more there. So I'll pick them up and move them to the other side of the road where we've gone off to now. The log truck's proving quite useful, carrying all these signs about, putting them on the road, because you've got a real little double chicane here that you have to go through. And of course the council never cut back any of the branches, so people come flying around these corners not realising we've got machines on the go and all of that. Anyway, we'll get these rest of these signs done. Okay, so we're just running back home with the load now. Okay guys, day 2. We are in number 2 silage clamp. It's looking pretty high. We'll walk up on top. We haven't started putting into the old original number 1 clamp, but we will do. We're actually shut down at the moment. A little joystick rubber button has gone on the chopper, so there you go. All that horsepower, little tiny rubber button goes for the spout, and yeah, there we are. Anyway, walking up now, coming up quite high. They're going to get a buck rate of one of their tractors just to push this up a little bit further. This just gives you a view of what's happening on the site. It's all the bits and pieces. Gives you a nice 360. That's the wood yard bit up there. Just done a log change, so we're continuing to cut up there and everything else. What you see Johnny there on the shovel is pulling out the barley. So we're going to have it down on the bottom and start chucking the maize on top, because the maize is a little bit juicy when we're going into these later drilled fields. They're not quite as dry as what we've got in here, so we're going to hope that we get a nice sort of soaking of the material into that drier stuff, and also we can kind of get a mixture every time we go for a bucket of the maize and the barley. So that's the theory anyway. So Ray's just pulling down a couple of blocks there, and I'm going to try and make a little bit more space in this clamp to keep the material coming down here as much as we can, because we've still got about half the area to do and we've not got much space left. There we are. So the guys are just making this block wall, working on the other side now. That will just give us a little bit more space out onto this bit. So the guys have got a new toy. Great. So guys, we're quite on a short run now. They've got the buck rate on one of their machines, so they've dropped off a trailer and they're able to keep up, and he's just pushing it up a little bit higher onto that clamp, just to try and squeeze the maximum out. I think Johnny on the loading shovel decided he didn't fancy it up there. Don't really blame him. Anyway, we're looking for more space, so we're in the wood yard, and we've cleared out some room out here, so that's all good. And we've got a nice big space here to clamp any additional maize. So they've brushed it all out and given it well, they're going to give it a final little sweep out tomorrow, and hopefully that will all work quite nicely. There he is, pushing up. It's going to be a nice high clamp. Get on that one. Good. We're now on the internal tracks of the farm, which is good because it keeps all the traffic off the main road, which is pretty important. Try and do our bit for keeping the local villagers happy. Okay guys, we're just on the internal tracks now, and they're quite good roads really. Try and keep them in good trim for this sort of work, and it keeps the tractors off the main road, so it keeps the local people happy, because it's not much fun having lots of tractors roaring back and forth. But there we are, all good. Okay guys, it's day 3 now, and the clamp's getting pretty full. We're getting now into our lighter crops that never really quite germinated. Here's a classic example behind me. This field was pretty patchy when it was germinating, and yeah, the volume's just not here. You can just see the height of the crops is low, and yeah, so it's just going to be a bit of a weak one really. As we get a bit further in, there's probably a little bit more density, but there's not much that's above my head, and I think we'll find that on a fen. 3 or 4 fields over there that we've got to do. So yeah, off we go, hoping we can squeeze it all into the clamp and a bit in the wood yard, but we'll find out today if we've got to go up to the top sheds and use their grain storage up there. So there we go. Okay, let's go. Okay guys, so on these poorer fields there's a lot of weed that's growing up within the maize, and I'll just show you that heap. It's pretty green. There's a lot of juice in this now in comparison to that one over there, which was a much drier, fuller crop. The maize had got ahead of all the weeds, and it wasn't letting the weeds get up and suppress. And this stuff is yeah, juicy and green. I felt it in my hands. You can see on the tires of the loading shovel that it's really moist and leaking out. So yeah, just interesting little bit of analysis there. A bit of a blockage there, trying to get it along. Okay guys, so just up on top of the first clamp here, that was pretty full. This one is looking pretty high as well. It's probably always this high, but it feels a bit fuller. We've got one more field to do, so I'm really hoping we can pack it in. But yeah, we'll see. We shall see. We must be 6 meters high now on this clamp, so Johnny's done a pretty fantastic job on that buck run, as he always does. So yeah, fingers crossed. It's not often you're hoping that you don't get too much more in. Okay guys, we're just finishing off the last field now. A few more trailers to come in. Didn't think we'd all get it in those 2 clamps, but we have. Yeah, been a hard couple of days, well 3 days. Always a bit knackered now. When it's all over, all the tension sort of comes out of the system. So yeah, next week we'll sheet that all up, and yeah, we'll go from there. So hope you enjoyed watching that guys, and we'll catch you next time.